Hello, welcome back. In this case, we're going to be modeling some stairs. Now there's a very nice option here in 3ds Max to model that. So inside our geometry, we can find a stairs option. And here we have 4 different types of stairs that we can create. We can create a straight stair, an L-type stair, U-type stair, and my favorite one, the spiral stair. So let's go and select the straight stair first. And now I just have to give it a length, then a width, and finally a height. So it's like creating a box basically. Inside our modifiers we have many options. So first of all, in the parameters we have an open, a closed, or a box shaped stair. So the closed will basically have less details and the box will just extrude the stairs to the ground. So let's keep it at open. In the generate geometry we have the stringers and the carriage. We can also add some handrails in the left and right side. I can also replace these handrails by a rail path, which are basically just 2 splines in which we can create a custom shaped hand railing and then add a sweep to it if you want to. So let's deactivate this option. Within the layout, I can also manipulate again the length and the width. So if I just play with it, you can see that also my steps start to have a little bit more dimension in the length and also in its width. So in the rise option, we have the overall and the rise height, like so. Now we have the thickness of the steps, which are just basically the height of them. And now let's go to carriage. So inside our carriage, if we've selected it to be on, we will have some more parameters. So here I have the depth of it, and I can extrude it all the way to the ground, like so. And also I can give it a little bit more width to it. So if I deactivate the carriage, I won't have this extra option down here. So make sure that you have this on. The same thing with the stringers and the railings. So within the stringers, I can just manipulate their height, their width, and the offset. And now let's go for the L-type stair. So the L-type stair will have 2 sides, and first I have to give the length for the first side, and it could be as long as I want it to be. Then I have to give it the other one. So it's going to keep me in a perpendicular way. The same thing with this stair. If I go to the modify tab, I can find it the close and also the box, so I'll keep it at open. I also have the carriage and stringers, which will basically have the same parameters as the first one we did. I can also place the handrails, and this handrails will actually follow the geometry for these stairs. I can also replace them with a spline, and pretty much we'll have the same parameters as the first one. So let's go for the other stair, the U-type stair. So notice that the values for my U-type stair are all set to 0. So if I click and drag, I won't be able to see them. Just like something like this. And it may seem like an error, but it's not. So we just have to go back to our modifiers and give them some values to this. So keep aware of that. Now the usual width for this, it's 240 centimeters, and that's too much compared to my other stairs. I'm just going to leave it at 90. And again, we have the same values. So nothing new here. Let's just leave it at open and add some stringers there. And let's actually go to our clay mode and F4. Let me just center this. So here I have length 1 and length 2, which controls each of these separate set of stairs. So now I'm going to give it a little bit more of height so it doesn't look that weird. There we go. Now for our final stair, we have the spiral stair. So just like a box, I can press and hold my control key to create it right from the middle, like so. Now within our spiral stair, we have some more options than usual. If we go to our modifiers, in here we have the center pole, which is not something that you can find in the other stairs. And if I just collapse this, I have one more tab called center pole, and if it's not on, I won't be able to change it. So take that into account. Now let's select all of them, the stringers, the carriage, and also the center pole. Now notice that my center pole is not actually part of the geometry, so we're going to be fixing that later. Now here I also have the usual handrails, and in the layout we can choose between these two options, which have also our radius, our revolutions, which are just our turns, just like a helix, and our width. So in our width we can just control this until we match it with the pole in this case. Now we have the usual height, and notice that the pole is also linked to the height of the stairs, but we can change that. We will see that later. Now the thickness of the steps are just the height of them. Let's go to a carriage option, which is the usual one. So let's just drag it all the way down here, for instance. Also the railings, we don't have them on. So if you want to play with the railings, go to the top over here and select the railings. Now in the stringers, we can actually bring them all the way down in this case, like so. We can also play with its width and the offset. So we can use these stringers as some kind of handrails. Now the center pole. The center pole has this option in which we can activate the height, so this way we can unlink it from the actual stairs. Okay everyone, so thank you for listening. Please practice the stairs, try and make your own set of stairs, and play with all of the parameters that we've seen so far. Bye bye.